Welcome to Imagine Your Life with Jenny Lynn. I am so excited for today's show. For those of you that are joining, I am so excited for this. And for those of you that are watching through the recording later, I am so excited for you. I feel so enthusiastic and happy today. The message that I'm sharing is a powerful message of how to create calm out of chaos. Do you have times in your life when you just feel like your brain is in complete chaos? We all do. The problem is when we get stuck in the chaos and then we keep creating more and more chaos. So I'm going to be taking a lot of my thoughts today from two different books. One is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and I'm going to show it in front of me. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I know it's a little funny with the computer in the background. This is from Joe Dispenza. Let me back up. That's a better option. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And my first quote actually comes from his book. I'm going to begin with this quote. I'm going to read it directly. So we have a subconscious mind and a conscious mind. And when our brain gets really active, when we have all of these different thoughts and all these different thoughts, we need to bring them into a place of calm, right? Well, he likens it to an orchestra playing. All the different parts of the brain are playing like an orchestra. So this is a direct quote from Joe Dispenza. Orchestrating for coherence. If our definition of mind is the brain in action or the brain's activity when it processes different streams of consciousness, then meditation naturally produces a more synchronized, coherent state of mind. On the other hand, when the brain is stressed, its electrical activity will be like an entire orchestra of musical instruments playing badly. The mind will be out of rhythm, out of balance, and out of time. Have you ever been to a seventh grade orchestra performance or a band performance from the seventh graders? These little sixth graders, seventh graders that are just starting to learn and you can pick out the rhythm and what it's supposed to sound like, and they can have moments of synchronicity and when they're working together. But that orchestra is or that band, it's chaos, right? I mean, it can be, and it's notes out of tune over here, notes here, like somebody makes a mistake here. I mean, it just is, and they're doing their best, right? But they're learning. Well, our brain is like that when we go and we get stressed, and the more stress that we pile upon ourselves, then our brain starts to fragment, and we get these electrical are just like static electricity all over our brain, and that creates chaos. Let's the way that we bring that, the number one way to bring that chaos and to calm the mind is through our breath, through meditation. So that's what we're going to be talking today about, is meditation and going deeper, and then how to use that meditation. Most importantly, how to use that meditation to create a vision and a goal for what we really do want. Whether there's something you want to manifest today, or if there's something that you want to manifest a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or what would you like your life to be like in 5 years? And have you thought about 20 years from now? 20 years from now, why does what I'm doing today matter 20 years from now? I promise you. So I've been on this earth for 54 years now, and I know that there are distinct moments in my life that 20 years ago where I made decisions and choices to begin a habit of transformation that made a difference and got me to where I am today. So it doesn't matter the decisions, the habits, what I do today, 20 years from now. Have you thought about that? Very interesting. It does matter, and it makes a difference. And how we transform our life is by taking control, mastering our own subconscious mind. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You are either master of your subconscious or you are slave to it. So today we're going to learn how to master our subconscious mind. Another piece, another addition. I'm not going to go into a lot of breath work because I've covered that in other shows. But when we're in those moments of the most meditative times of the day, to really get into our subconscious mind and to start reframing our subconscious mind is from first thing in the morning and then the times when we go to sleep at night. Some people prefer to meditate in the morning, and they're a morning person and they like to get up an hour earlier and have their miracle morning. And sometimes I'm that person. And then sometimes I'm the person that at night is when I shut my brain down and I meditate before I fall asleep. And then I can sleep deeply and wake up the next morning restored and ready to go. Is there a right or a wrong? Absolutely not. You get to figure out which one works for you. And I like to take moments in the morning and moments in the evening with a morning routine and an evening routine. The more that we have a morning routine and then we have an evening routine, if we know where we're going during the day and then we know where we're ended and where we want to start the next day, then what we do in between those hours that we're awake, then we're in the action and the doing, and we can be more on our purpose and our plan and our vision. So whether you meditate in the morning or at night, doesn't matter, but you take some moments, some time, and you breathe. Now, with the breath work, one that I really like is you breathe in for the count of 4 and out for the mental count of 8. So in for 4, out for the mental count of 8. Just by slowing down your breath, you create calm in the mind. What you're doing is you're shutting off your limbic system of the brain. It's been said we have 3 brains. We have our frontal cortex, the white matter, the analytical thinking brain. We have our limbic system, which is our automatic, that's our habits, that's our automatic, that's where PTSD comes from, that's where the fight, flight, or freeze response comes from. It's also where the rest, relax, calm, digest comes from in that limbic brain. And then we have our cerebellum and our automatic functions brain and our hormone brain. And they all work together. When we breathe, we take control of that limbic system and we bring calm and we send those messages to our brain to oxygenate more oxygen. The more oxygen we have in our brain, not hyper oxygenated, but when we can breathe slowly, take control of our brain, then we can start to calm the PTSD. We can calm our thoughts. We can calm that orchestra and bring it into harmony, because that is the goal, is harmony. So how do we do that? There's some simple steps. My time goes really fast here. But we're going to talk about setting up 13 resolutions for life. And when we can set up where we want to go, where we want to be, our mission, our purpose, our values, what are we about in our life? And when we couple that with taking time for ourselves to reflect, to ponder, to learn, to grow, to improve, and we take that meditative time to heal and create and move ourselves and heal that PTSD. I talked a lot about that in my last show. When we breathe, we're calming the PTSD response. We retrain. We really are rewiring our brain. And so the next step with rewiring our brain through our breath is to give it a direction to go. And how do we do that? Well, I took my guide from a gentleman named Benjamin Franklin. Pretty wise guy, right? And you know what? Here's an important fact that maybe you didn't know about Benjamin Franklin. He had 2 years of formal schooling in his life. He learned to read and write at his mother's knee, and then 2 years, that's it. And then he was put to work helping his uncle in a printing factory, of all things. And he learned about printing. He learned about words. He learned about what he didn't want in his life. And then when he became a teenager, then he became an apprentice. Actually, it was way before he was a teenager. Back then, they didn't have laws about the age you could start working. So he started working as an apprentice in a printing shop, probably about 8 years old, 9 years old, maybe. Pretty young. But he was always learning. And an interesting fact about him that I didn't really know this, but when he was 20, 21 years old, he was walking down the street, and his friend, his good friend, coming the other direction, turned and walked the other way. And he thought, why did that just happen? And so later, he asked his friend, why did you avoid me on the street? And you crossed over on the other street. Not only that, you started walking the other direction. What happened there? There's more to this story. When you read his autobiography, you'll see that his friend said, I did not want to have a conversation with you that day because you always have to be right and you always overtalk people and nobody wants to be with you. You're not very nice. So how's that for feedback? Well, Benjamin Franklin heard that and he said, wow. He wanted to be influential, just like everybody else. He wanted to matter. He wanted to do something. He wanted his life to be important. And so he pondered, he sat, he meditated. This was back in 1800s, right? And maybe it's before then. Sorry, I don't have my dates right. And he said, actually, it was 1700s. Benjamin Franklin was a long time ago. He said, I want to be the best at what I do. How do I do that? I want people to like me. Obviously, I need to make a change. And he came up with what he referred to as the 13 resolutions for life. And in his autobiography, he spends almost 15 pages on that one subject. And he says the most important thing he wanted his posterity to remember was this system that he developed. Remember, he was a scientist that he developed as the 13 resolutions for life. And he took a very tight scientific formula. I've started this formula. I'm just in the beginning of it. So I can't tell you results like Benjamin Franklin has. I can't tell you the results that my friend and mentor that wrote this book, because when I say friend and mentor, I love this book and I have read this book and studied it. I'm going to show it to you now. My face just disappeared. It's How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling with Mr. Frank Betcher. Like, bet your life. All right, here's what he says in this book. And this comes from Benjamin Franklin. And he took this specifically from Benjamin Franklin's autobiography. And he decided if it was good enough for Benjamin Franklin, it was good enough for him. And he wrote this book in 1930. And in 1930, when he wrote this book, he based his life off this book. And he became one of the greatest salesmen of his time. And it was his secret came from Benjamin Franklin. And I'm sharing it with you now. And it's these 13 resolutions. You take 13 resolutions, you write down 13 values, things that you want to be, that you want to work on, that you want to emulate, that you want to be like. And then write it on a 3x5 card, put it in your pocket or on your phone. And for 1 week of every month, you're going to do this consecutively for 13 weeks because there's 13. And you focus on that one value for that 1 week so that you're thinking about it, so that you are focused on that one core value that you want to improve on, and make sure that it's something that resonates with you. Like my list of 13 is very different than Benjamin Franklin's. And this gentleman that with Frank Betcher was the greatest salesman of his time, his were different too. He chose values that he needed to work on, his weaknesses, just like Benjamin Franklin chose values that he needed to work on. And then he'd write it on a card. He'd carry that card with him for that week. He'd think about it, he'd contemplate it, and he'd focus on it for that week. And then the next week, he would use another card. And he did this in consecutive order so that after 13 weeks, or close to 4 months, he had gone through all 13 of those, and then he would start over. So within a year, he would go through those 13 values 4 times. And the changes that occurred for Benjamin Franklin in that time, and he did this for years. He created this system when he was 25 years old, and he kept it a secret, and he never said anything to anybody. And then he wrote his autobiography when he was like 77 years old. And that was the most important thing of his life that he shared in his autobiography, that he felt was the most important thing that he did, and its secret to his success in his life. Well, this Frank Betcher in his book, he claims that the secret to success in his life, the reason that he became the greatest salesman of his time in the 1930s and 40s and lived a great life, was because of those 13 values. And if you pay close attention to the writings of today, and Franklin Covey and his writings are very much based on this same simple model. So what do? You choose 13 values that are important to you. I will give you some ideas and some examples, but I want you, as you're starting this new year, today is December 28th of 2024. It's going to be New Year's, a whole new year in 2025. A time to really come alive in 2025. I love rhymes. So that's my theme for 2025 is to come alive, live even more, even greater, and have more abundance because it's happening and it's coming, but it has to be created in our mind first. And this is a way that you can move that chaos and bring it into order, bring it into calm. We don't do things all at once. Everything takes time. We learn line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. But when you have a focused goal to what you're moving towards, guess what? Miracles happen. Things that appear like miracles, but really aren't because we orchestrated it. We took control of our subconscious mind. We gave it rhythm, patterns, orchestration. We knew what we wanted the final music to sound like. We get to orchestrate our own minds. And this power of 13 resolutions, I promise you it works. And I've been doing it now for a while, and it's working. And I'm excited for what the next year brings, the next 10 years, the next 20 years, the next 30 years. My goodness, I could live to be 100, 110. Who knows? But I want those to be quality years, value-filled years. And how do we do that? This is a simple, simple process. It is a very scientific process, and it works. So you choose your 13 values, write them on a card, a 3x5 card, put it in a file, put it on your phone, keep track of it, actually write it down in your journal. If you're like me, occasionally I have to get a new phone, right? Technology breaks. Have it someplace where it's written down, where you know it, and you have that recurring file. I like it on a 3x5 card, very simple and just a file. And then I add my thoughts to it. So these 13 resolutions, choose your 13 that are important to you, that you can focus your whole life around these 13 resolutions. And then once a week, you look at that card and you focus on that card for that week only. And then the next week, you're on to a new card and continue that cycle for 13 weeks. And at the end of a year, you'll have completed it 4 times, right? Watch and feel the transformation that occurs in your life. So I'm just going to give you an example of some of the things you could choose from. Enthusiasm. If you're lacking with enthusiasm and that's important to you, lift it. Enthusiastic. Be enthusiastic. Everybody likes to be with an enthusiastic person. Order. Self-organization. Thinking in terms of other people and other people's interests. Ask questions. Stay curious. Silence. Be still. Listen. Simplicity. Sincerity. Be sincere in your communication. Knowledge. Knowledge of your business. Knowledge of yourself. Could be just knowledge. Smile. You have a problem with relationships and relating to people and you think people are avoiding you? Smile. Start smiling. When you've had a hard life, sometimes we get permanent frown faces and we don't even realize it. I know there's a time that I had to practice smiling in the mirror. So that when people looked at me, they would see my smile. instead of frown marks? How about service and serving others? How about patience? That's what I've been working on. Being an example, creating hope, charity, faith, love, smile, service, order, simplicity, love. Choose what is important to you in those 13 values, what you want your life to be about. Write it down, focus on it. 1 week a month, very easy to do. And in this way, here's what I love about it, is that you capture your subconscious mind in this manner. So that over time, guess what? Your subconscious is begins to work for you, and it starts to look for opportunities to practice these values, to learn more, and to bring more abundance into your life. And it all is happening on an unconscious level because you're feeding your subconscious. You've given your subconscious a direction, a goal. This is where I want to be in 20 years. And your subconscious is going to work, either working for you or against you. And now you've given it an outline, you've given it a goal, you've given it a destination, and your brain starts working for you to create that calm, that orchestra, and bring it into your life to create that calm and that order. It's a very simple process. And when you combine that practice of following your 13 resolutions for life and combine it with morning breath work and meditation and evening reflection and meditation, and your gratitude practice. We talked a lot about gratitude last week. Bring that together, and you're going to have an amazing life. And in 20 years from now, you're going to sit back and wonder, wow. In fact, you're going to know how you got where you are because it was by design. It wasn't by accident. It's by design. Take control of your life. Take control of the orchestra of your life. You can live a life that is calm, that is peaceful, that is happy, that is joyful. We are meant to live in joy. Hard things happen to everyone, and everybody has problems. Everybody has problems. The trick is to learn from those problems and get new problems, get new solutions. And here you go. This is a simple way to bring peace and calm out of chaos so that you can walk through any storm and be in the eye of the storm. Think of Winston Churchill. He said, never give up. If you study his life, he had a lot of chaos in his life, and he created calm in his own life. And then he led a whole world into a place of calm. Benjamin Franklin did the same thing. How did he do it? He took his life of chaos and created calm, and then he shared it with the world. You, my friend, can do the same thing. And I'm going to leave you with my favorite quote. Every day, in every way, you get better and better. Repeat that 10 times, one for each finger, as your fingers touch your mattress and your pillow and you prepare for sleep. And you repeat in your mind the phrase, every day in every way, I get better and better. Repeated 10 times as you fall asleep. In this way, you make every experience of your life now becomes a learning experience, and it all works while you sleep. Thank you for joining me today, and welcome to the first day of the rest of your life.